is Top Accolade Global News Updates. I am Soibifa Jackridge. Donald Trump secured a resounding victory in the first 2024 Republican presidential contest in Iowa on Monday, asserting his command over the party despite facing scores of criminal charges as he seeks a rematch with Democratic President Joe Biden. Florida Governor Ron Desantis, 45, finished well behind in second place, edging out former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, 51, as they battle to emerge as the chief alternative to Trump. Trump, 77, won by an unprecedented margin for an Iowa Republican contest, strengthening his case that his nomination is a foregone conclusion given his massive lead in national polls. With 95% of the expected votes tallied, Trump had 51% while DeSantis was at 21% and Haley 19%. According to Edison Research, the largest margin of victory for an Iowa Republican caucus had been 12.8 percentage points for Bob Dole in 1988. Entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy ended his long-shot presidential bid after earning just under 8% of the vote on Monday and endorsed Trump in a speech to supporters. If Trump finishes above 50%, winning more than all his rivals combined, it will further weaken his opponent's argument that his march to the nomination can be derailed. His performance reflected his popularity among Republican voters even after 2 impeachments, his involvement in the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol by a mob of supporters, and his 91 criminal charges for trying to overturn the 2020 election, retaining classified documents after leaving the White House, and falsifying records connected to Hush. Nearly 2/3 of caucus goers embraced his false claims about voter fraud, saying they did not think Biden legitimately won the presidency. More than 60% said Trump would still be fit to serve as president, even if convicted of a crime. Trump dominated across the board. According to an Edison entrance poll, he won a majority among men and among women, among those who consider themselves very conservative, somewhat conservative and independent, among those who graduated college and those who did not money payments to a porn star. Trump has aimed to create an air of inevitability around his campaign, skipping all 5 of the Republican debates thus far and largely ensuring the county-by-county politicking that most candidates do ahead of the Iowa votes. Around 1,000 tourists remain stranded in a remote holiday village after avalanches hit China's northwestern Xinjiang region, with meters high snow and fickle weather impending evacuation, state TV reported on Tuesday. Road access to Hemu village, a scenic destination near the borders of Kazakhstan, Russia, and Mongolia, where the tourists were trapped, has been cut off by avalanches for several days now. The village is situated in Xinjiang's Altai Prefecture, where continued snowfall in some areas has lasted 10 days, it said. The heavy snowfall triggered dozens of avalanches along large sections of highways in the Altai Mountains, leading to the Kanas scenic area, and some tourists were lifted by helicopter to safety. Chinese state media outlets reported over the weekend snow brought by the avalanches reached as high as 7 meters in some parts, and in many was higher than snow clearing equipment, CCTV said. Work to clear the 50 kilometers, that is 31-mile stretch of buried road started a week ago, complicating the rescue and snow removal work where rocks, debris, and tree branches mixed in the snow, broken off as avalanches gushed down pine and pitch forest slopes towards a river valley, rendering rotary snowplow vehicles useless. Rescuers have resorted to shovels and evacuators as weather changes rapidly in the mountainous area. The windows for operating supply missions have been narrowed too. A military helicopter scheduled to send supplies such as flour and fuel to Hemu village was delayed on Tuesday morning, CCTV said. The highway management authorities in Altai said they have organized 53 personnel and 31 sets of machinery and equipment for the rescue and relief work. Tesla CEO Elon Musk said on Monday he would be uncomfortable growing the automaker to be a leader in artificial intelligence and robotics without having at least 25% voting control of the company, nearly double his current stake. Musk said in a post on social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, that unless he got stock in the world's most valuable automaker, that was enough to be influential, but not so much that I can't be overturned. At Tesla, he would prefer to build product outside of the electric vehicle manufacturer. He has long touted Tesla's partially automated full self-driving software and its prototype humanoid robots, but the electric vehicle maker generates most of its revenue from its automotive business. Musk, the world's richest person, currently owns around 13% of Tesla's stock after selling billions of dollars of shares in 2022, partly to help finance his $44 billion purchase of Twitter. In a separate post on X, he said he would be fine with a dual-class share structure to achieve his goal of getting 25% voting control, but was told it was impossible after Tesla's initial public offering. Companies with dual-class structures have two or more types of shares with current voting rights, usually one with greater voting rights for founders of earlier investors and another for other shareholders with less voting power. Musk currently faces a lawsuit over his compensation package. Telsa shareholder Richard Tonetta sued Musk and the board in 2018 and hopes to prove the co-founder used his dominance over Telsa's board to obtain an outsized compensation package that did not require him to work at the EV maker full-time. OKX, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges, has been granted a regulatory license in Dubai that will allow it to offer crypto services to retail clients, the company said on Tuesday. Dubai's Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority, VARA, has awarded OKX, Middle East a virtual asset service provider, VAS, license for exchange services. When operational, it will enable OKX to provide spot services and spot pairs services to qualified retail clients as well as institutional customers. The United Arab Emirates is pushing to become a global hub for the crypto industry. VARA was formed in March 2022 to regulate the emerging virtual assets sector in Dubai. We are looking at this as a game changer because we are able now to target both retail and institutional clients in the UAE and allow them to deposit and withdraw in their local currency. Rifad Mahasne, OKX General Manager for the MENA region. We are working with VARA towards complete a few conditions before we can launch, and we are working to do so over the next few weeks, he added. According to VARA's public record of virtual asset service provider, OKX Middle East follows Toko Fees and Trek Labs Limited fees in securing a license for exchange services. Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, was also granted a license to conduct some operations in Dubai in 2022. Shares hit a one-month low. U.S. stock futures fell and the dollar rose on Tuesday as hawkish remarks from central bankers tempered expectations for interest rates cuts, and traders waited to hear from the Fed's influential Christopher Waller. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan fell 1.4% to its lowest since mid-December. The Hang Seng headed for its worst section of the year, dropping 2% to a 14-month through trough. Japan's Nikkei snapped a 6-section winning streaks and retreated from a 34-year high, closing 0.8% lower at 35,619. US markets were short for a holiday on Monday, but S&P 500 futures were 0.5% lower in Asia trade on Tuesday, and Nasdaq 100 futures dropped 0.6%, European futures fell 0.6%, and FTSE futures fell 0.3%. Fed funds futures also dropped notably for Asia as, reflecting a slight cooling in interest rates, cut expectations, and short-term treasury yields rose. Two-year yields were last up 7 basis points and tugged the dollar to one-month highs on the risk-sensitive Australian and New Zealand dollars. On Monday, European bonds were sold after European central officials pushed back on market bets on rate cuts. Bombay Bank's president Joachim Nagel said it was too early to discuss cuts, and Australian Central Bank Governor Robert Halsman warned not to bank on a cut at all this year. Two-year German bonds rose more than 7 bps to 2.6%, and 10 years bonds rose 5.4 bps to 2.2%, lending support to the euro, which climbed to a 3-week high against the Swiss franc. A stronger dollar pushed the euro about 0.3% lower to a 1-week trough on the greenback at $1.0913 on Tuesday. The Australian and New Zealand dollars dropped more than 0.6%, with the Aussie falling through its 50-day moving average to $0.6610 and the Kiwi down to $0.6161. That is the size of top accolade global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Tuesday.